A father once unknowingly ate his own child. This is one of the darkest stories ever recorded by the Brothers Grimm, known as the Juniper Tree. Long ago, in a house shadowed by the branches of a juniper tree, a woman whispered a single wish to have a child. The words had barely left her lips when her body collapsed, falling dead into the earth beneath the tree. The ground closed over her, silent and cold. Her husband, left alone with grief, did not linger in mourning. In those days, loss was a constant visitor. Records from mid-19th century Prussia show that nearly 40% of widowed men remarried within a year, sometimes within months. Life demanded it. Fields needed tending, children needed care, and the emptiness of a silent home pressed in from all sides. The father soon took a new wife. She arrived with her own daughter, a pale shadow at her side. The household shifted. The laughter that once echoed beneath the juniper faded, replaced by careful footsteps and measured voices. The boy, born of a wish and a death, grew quickly. He was named for the tree that watched over his mother's grave. The new wife watched him, too, but not with kindness. In the old tales, stepmothers are more than just replacements. They enter a house already marked by absence, filling the space left by another woman's bones. In rural villages, this was not a rare story. Parish registers from 1850 list remarriages as routine, almost expected. Yet behind each entry in those yellowed ledgers lies the silent question: what happens to a family when grief is buried but not gone? The father's decision was practical, almost inevitable. But the new marriage carried a quiet tension. The juniper tree stood outside, roots tangled with secrets, branches holding memories that refused to rest. Inside, the boy lived under the gaze of a woman who did not call him her own. Each day, the house settled further into its uneasy calm, as if waiting for something to break the silence. Not every wish brings joy. Some wishes plant a seed that grows in darkness, watered by longing and loss. In this house, under the watch of the juniper, a new story was about to begin. A story that would test the limits of love and reveal what happens when the dead are not finished speaking. The stepmother's gaze lingered on the boy, a child whose very existence seemed to mock her place in the house. In the earliest Grimm text, the word for her intention is bosen plan, a wicked plan, not merely a bad one. Over time, translators softened it, but in the first telling her malice is absolute. She watched the boy, the way he moved through the rooms, the way his father's eyes rested on him. Each day, her envy grew heavier, pressing against her chest until it felt like a stone. In the quiet of the afternoon, she called the boy to her side. Her voice was gentle, almost sweet. The boy, trusting and unaware, obeyed. He stood before her, small and defenseless, the light from the window catching the pale curve of his neck. She reached for the axe. The 1812 manuscript is unflinching. "Sei hab die Axt, schlug dem Knaben den Kopf ab." She lifted the axe, struck the boy's head off. There is no hesitation, no mercy. In a single motion, the house crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. The boy's head, separated from his body, was placed within the wood of the juniper tree outside. Not buried, not hidden in the earth, but nestled inside the very tree that marked his mother's grave. The heart mentioned in the earliest versions as the next object of her attention was quietly omitted in later editions, as if the truth was too much even for the Grimms. Yet in the original, she climbs up to take the heart, a detail erased by time and by editors who flinched at the horror. No one in the house heard a scream. No one saw blood on her hands. The stepmother's plan was not born of madness, but of cold calculation. The boy's absence would be explained, his body concealed. The silence that followed was thick, unnatural, a silence that held its breath, waiting for the next lie to be told. What drives a person to such an act? The word wicked has changed over centuries, but in this story, it is not a label, it is a verdict. The house, the juniper, the bones beneath the soil, all bear witness to what has been done. And yet, the question lingers, can such a crime ever truly be hidden? A heavy quiet settled over the kitchen, broken only by the slow bubbling of a pot on the stove. The stepmother moved with deliberate care, her hands steady as she stirred the stew, each motion betraying nothing of what she had done. The meat, cut into neat pieces, simmered among carrots and onions, sending up a rich, savory aroma that filled the house and masked any trace of guilt. She ladled the broth, watching as the flesh softened, dissolving all evidence of the boy's fate. No one spoke of the missing child. The father, returning from work, hung his coat and washed his hands, drawn by the scent wafting from the kitchen. He asked no questions. He saw only a meal prepared with unusual attention, the table set with care, the bread sliced thick beside his plate. The stepmother smiled, her eyes never meeting his. She invited him to sit, to eat, to enjoy what she had made. He obliged, spooning the stew into his mouth, savoring the tender meat. He exclaimed, "Wie köstlich!" The words hung in the air, sharp and bright, before fading into a silence that lasted 2 long seconds. The father's delight was complete, his appetite undisturbed by any suspicion. He ate heartily, praising the cook, unaware that the meat in his bowl came from the boy, his own son. The stepmother watched him, her face unreadable, her secret safe for now. Each spoonful deepened the corruption at the heart of the household, turning an ordinary meal into something unspeakable. The sister, silent at the table, lowered her eyes, her hands trembling as she pushed her food aside. She alone understood the horror of what had been served and what must be done to set things right. The meal ended, the father content, the silence in the house growing heavier with every passing moment. The girl waited for darkness. When the house fell silent, she slipped from her bed and crept to the juniper tree, the earth still cold around its roots. Her small hands gathered what remained of her brother, bones pale and fragile, wrapped gently in a handkerchief. She pressed the bundle to her chest, her breath clouding in the night air. In the old belief, juniper branches could purify what was tainted. The girl knelt and buried the bones beneath the tree where their mother had been laid. No words were spoken. The soil closed over the secret, but the ground did not rest. From that silence, something began to stir. The wind moved through the branches, and a strange hush fell over the yard. Then, a black bird rose from the juniper, feathers shining with a dark, uncanny light. It circled once, twice, as if testing the weight of its new body. The bird sang, a mournful, beautiful song, each note carrying the memory of the boy's life and death. In every version of the story, the bird's song holds power. It sings of the axe, the blood, the meal, and the bones hidden under the tree. The melody is a confession, a curse, and a call for justice. Inside the house, the stepmother heard the song and felt her heart beat strangely, a trembling deep in her chest. The tale says her heart quivered, a phrase that means more than fear. It is the body's last warning before collapse. The bird's voice grew sharper, relentless, repeating the truth she tried to bury. She could not escape the sound. The pressure built, unbearable. Suddenly, the stepmother rushed to the window, her face drained of color. She threw herself forward, falling hard to the ground below. The story does not linger on her end. The song stops. The house is quiet again. In that hush, the bird returns to the juniper, perches among the branches, and waits. Justice has been done, but the air does not clear. The girl stands alone in the yard, watching the bird, her brother, changed but not gone. The tree holds its secrets, roots tangled with sorrow and relief. Nothing in the house will ever be the same. Violence festers where trust is absolute, inside homes, behind closed doors. Guilt demands payment, even when justice arrives in mythic forms. These tales endure because the shadows they reveal still linger in our world. Every family holds secrets. Some are never spoken. Some are never forgiven. Thanks for watching.